back to part 2 of getting the truck ready for winter. Today I'm going to do spark plugs, um, go over just some of the basic stuff with you. I already did the brakes on this truck and it already has brand new tires, so that's good to go for the winter time. It's always a good idea to go through everything and just take a good look at everything before the snow flies, before it gets cold, because I'll tell you what, working on stuff in the snow is not fun, and trying to put bolts in and catch nuts and hold the starters or whatever the case may be, even working on brakes, something like that, uh, when it's 20 degrees and you're touching that metal with your bare hands, it gets a little cold. And if you don't have a shop, you're really up a paddle. Or really up a creek without a paddle. Really up a paddle. Most people don't bother with this. They just drive their vehicles. And then when wintertime comes, they have issues. Brakes go out. It won't start one morning because plugs are bad and they don't want to fire in the cold. Uh, Battery. This has a brand new battery in it, so I'm not worried about that. It has a brand new air cleaner element. I'm still going to show you where that's at, just in case any of y'all aren't familiar with any of this stuff. I'm going to pretty much go through this like you don't. So if you do know what you're doing, I'm not patronizing you. And, oh, going back to the shop thing. Big news. I am getting a shop. Finally. And I'm very much looking forward to having a nice warm shop to work in the wintertime. Get the kids involved and have a lot of fun with them. There's going to be some really good content coming up for you guys. Going to be 11 acres to play with. We got the snowmobile, the go-kart, we got this truck, my other truck, and I have lots of friends with lots of toys, and we are going to have a blast, and we're going to record it all for you guys. So getting on with the show. Today we are going to do spark plugs, and I have not done the plugs in this truck. I'm guessing they've never been done. 92,000 mile truck. Typically spark plugs are rated for 100,000. I change them at 70 anyway, because once you get to 100, no, they're no good. So we're gonna get going on the spark plugs. Get out my trusty gloves here, and yes, I do wear gloves. I highly recommend wearing gloves. You want to keep everything you're working on clean, and it's good to keep your hands clean, because if you need to, say, deal with the kids or the dogs or something, and you got hands full of grease, at least you can peel these off and got clean hands. But this is a habit I actually picked up in outboard school years ago. Yes, at one point I was certified in something. And it's a very good habit. I've seen guys, especially around here, a lot of my buddies, they like to make fun of me for wearing gloves. Real man gets his hands dirty. Yeah, well, this real man, I like to keep my hands clean, and I like to keep my work clean, because you put work back together that's dirty and full of crap, it's not going to last very long. So we'll get on with doing our plugs here. We'll start at number 1 plug here. I don't know how familiar you are with GM V8s or even V8s in general, they're typically uh, firing pattern. Number one is usually this first cylinder right up in the front on the driver's side. So we're going to start with that. And these boots are always a fun one to get off. Sometimes you got to twist and wiggle and turn, and they don't always like to cooperate. But if you're careful, you can get them off without destroying them, which is what you want. Now I have a variety of flavors of extension and so forth here for my socket, for my spark plug socket here, and I do use a spark plug socket. These have the rubber boot inside that helps to hold on to porcelain, grabs onto that porcelain so you can take them in and out real easy. We'll get this first one pulled out, take a look at it, see how badly it's burnt. Got to kind of wiggle that on there. Get that rubber over the spark plug boot or porcelain. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was in there. All right, let's see what we got here. These plugs have definitely never been out. You can tell just by the thread, how the threads feel. Let's take a look at this puppy. Sorry, I'm moving a little slow today. My back muscle is not cooperating. I think I might have ticked it off a little bit yesterday. Looking at this one from number one, AC Delco. Yes, sir, Bob. 41110 for this 5.3 LS motor. AC Delco number. Now we're going to compare it to the new NGK here. Yeah, I just got NGKs. I didn't get AC Delcos. I have pretty good luck with these NGKs, and I like them. All right, and these are pre-gapped, but as I'm going to show you in a minute, check all your gaps anyway. And if you look at these two plugs together, you're going to see that the electrode on the old one is much more burnt. Let's see if I can get you in for a nice close look at that. You can really see the difference in how much this plug is burnt compared to the new one. All right, now before we install these, we're going to check our gaps. Okay, now to check your gaps, you can use a feeler gauge, which I also have, or you can just use spark plug gauge, which I have right here. Now, You see one end of this real thin. That's where you got your 20 thousandths. The other end's real thick. Where you got your 10, your 0.1. So we're going to start at the lowest and just kind of slide it up there. See where it stops. It should stop on these plugs. It should be 35 thousandths. And that gap is 35 thousandths. So that plug was pre-gapped good. We'll do all of these real quick. Good. That one's a little fat. We're gonna just give that a little love there. Boy, the gnats this morning are something else. Okay, that's a little better. So you just gotta, just a little pressure. Just close that gap just a tiny bit. Doesn't take much. Same with opening the gap. If you need to open the gap any, you can just use the tool and just kind of wiggle it back and forth, kind of pry it a little bit, but don't do too much because these are just thousandths of an inch, tiny increment measurements. Go too far and it won't burn right. So we got those four for this side. That one's a little fat. There we go. See, it doesn't take much. Just tiny little tap on my hand on the gauge there was all that took to seal that gap just enough to make it perfect. Okay. All the plugs are gapped to the correct gap. We'll start getting these installed and get the other ones switched out. Now, one of the tools I have here, I'm going to show you this real quick, is my handy dandy swivel. And if you guys ever need a swivel, these things do come in extremely handy. But they can be a pain in the butt because you go to try to put it on there and it just wants to go bloop, like that. Here's a little hint. Wrap a little tape around it. Still makes it flexible, but it also makes it stiff enough to where if you need to get up in there where you can't get your fingers or hands or whatever, it'll still stay taut enough to where you can do the thing, you know. Hopefully we won't need that one today. But I have a feeling on the passenger side we're going to. There's a lot more stuff in the way over there. Now, if you've never done spark plugs before, be careful. You always want to start these by hand, very gently. You do not want to cross thread spark plugs. So you find your hole, get it in there, kind of wiggle it around a little bit. You know, just kind of wiggle it, feel it out, and turn it as you do that. And you'll feel it when it starts to turn and catches right. And then it should just spin in by hand with your fingers. Real easy. Just like this one here is doing. Nice and easy. Yeah, that was Mr. Rick Benjamin going by in his Camaro. Supposed to be doing a video on that. So he better get his butt back here. Might have to do 2 videos today. All right, got that plug in. Now, a little tip for you guys. Okay, my tip for the day: dielectric grease. Put that stuff on everything. It's great. I love it. I'm going to put a little bit on the end of the spark plug there. See on this end right here, you just put a little bit on there. That keeps the moisture and corrosion out. And it helps it maintain a good clean spark. And it does not, if it gets wet, it will not carry current and short things out. Now when you put these boots back on, you got to kind of wiggle them sometimes. And you'll feel it when it snaps in onto that plug. There we go. Oh, the back. Oh, the back is not happy. All right, 7 more to go. All right, here's one for you. I'm having a little trouble getting the boot off of one of the back ones on this side. I can't get a good hold on it with my fingers and get it pulled off. So I'm grabbing the trusty needle nose here and very gently wiggling and pulling. And there it came. Nice and easy. Yep. Just needle nose pliers. Nice big one like that. Made it real easy. Gonna show you guys this real quick. I did have to put the swivel on for this plug. Oh God, my back hurts so bad. And as you see, there's my swivel. But because that plug is stuck so good and my back hurts so bad, I can't get the leverage I need. So I'm going to add this piece of pipe onto my ratchet handle there, so I have a little bit more leverage, and hopefully that'll do the job for me. It should, depending on how bad my back is here. Oh goodness. So here goes. See if that little bit of extra leverage is what I need. Watch the fingers. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, sometimes a little leverage is all a guy needs. Oh. Whoo, the back is not happy. Come on, ibuprofen. Do your job. Might have picked a bad day to do this, but got to get this done. If nothing else, I want to get the spark plugs done today because my gas mileage is suffering, and I have noticed a slight hiccup while it's running sometimes here and there. because these plugs are definitely burnt. So yeah, now you see the swivel there works pretty well. We'll get that puppy back in there. Remember, just a little wiggle. It should turn in nice and easy with your fingers. There shouldn't be much of a resistance at all. Do not cross thread these, especially in these aluminum heads. Sweet mother, you do not want to do that. Sure, sometimes you can throw a helicoil in there, but we don't want to have to do that. Oh, what am I doing? Got to finish tightening it with the wrench first, fool. Yeah. Helps to get it tight with the ratchet, not just finger tight. Finger tight probably wouldn't be the greatest. Sure, we'd suffer a little compression loss there. Sometimes these can be a pain with that rubber boot inside that socket, but you just give it a little wiggle as you're pulling on it. Just wiggle it, pull, wiggle it, pull, wiggle it, pull. Usually they come right out. All right, got one left on this side, and it's on to the next. All right, I just kind of wanted to give you guys a look at this other side here and the difficulty. I got the first boot off. You see it laying right here. I got that off. Came from, down in there, where they all come from in the head there, between the exhaust manifold outlets there. Because of all the hoses, AC stuff, there is not as much room on this side. And because I can barely freaking move right now because of my back, I have no leverage whatsoever. But thanks to the handy dandy needle nose pliers, I was able to get a hold of that and get it off pretty easily. Now, once again, when you're using these, do not just grab on and yank it out, okay? You do that, you're going to be replacing the spark plug wire. You have to be careful with the boots. You can't just squeeze on them boots as hard as you want. Now, these have the heat shield over them, which makes them a little bit easier to grab a hold of. You only want to squeeze enough just to get a hold of it so you can pull it, but you don't want to death grip that thing, okay? And you don't want to yank on it. You just want to wiggle and pull and wiggle and pull, and it will come without destroying things. Alrighty, I'm going to get cracking back at it here while my back is still somewhat cooperating. At least I'm going to try. I did want to show you these while I'm here because I don't know how long my back is going to last. I did check my antifreeze. My antifreeze is good. It looks good. And on these newer vehicles, you don't have the fill at the radiator like you used to. Now it's all at the overflow tank. And you just fill it there, let it circulate through. The battery on this truck is located right here. What I was saying before about your battery, make sure you got a good battery. If you're not sure, uh, take it in to one of your local auto parts places. Doesn't matter which one, the Leprechaun Shop, Napa, the Zone. I believe they all do free testing, free battery testing. Um, and it's not the volts that you're worried about come wintertime, it's the amps. That's when they say CCA, cold cranking amps, on your battery, that's what they're referring to is when it gets down into the freezing area. If you have just a 500 or a 600 uh, cold start battery, you're probably not going to have much luck when it gets below zero. So it's better to have, somewhere 650, 700, 800, or even higher. This one is an 850 or a 900, I can't remember. Um, and if they do not mark your battery, make sure they do. Make sure that sticker's on there, or if they got the sticker there with the month and the year, make sure they mark that. They are terrible these days about not marking their batteries, and when you try to warranty one, it's a nightmare. So make sure that those dates are there and you can see it. If there's no way to see it on there, mark it on there. Take a white paint pen or permanent marker, put a piece of tape on there. I don't give a crap. Mark that thing so you know how old that battery is. You do not want to be stuck when it's 20 below trying to start your vehicle because your battery won't start. It is not a good time. All right, and the air box here, the air intake. I did do this element about 2 months ago. I forgot that this is Torx bits to take this lid off and not just snaps. Depending on your vehicle, it'll be snaps, could be screws, um, but typically that is where your air cleaner element is located. I'm not going to pop mine out because I know it's new, but I will tell you that when you pull it out to check it, to see if it's any good other than visually seeing if it's full of dirt and crap, just hold it up to the light. If you hold it up to the light, sunlight especially, hold it up to the light, and if you can see light coming through that filter, then it's a good filter. You're still good to go. If there's no light coming through that filter, toss that puppy in the garbage. All right, and serpentine belt, that's another one people tend to overlook. And serpentine belt on this is actually in excellent shape. There's no cracking anywhere, no splitting, no telltale signs of destruction or any kind of a rud happening. If you don't know what a rud is rapid unscheduled disassembly. Those are not fun. We don't like ruds in the automotive world. All right, get back to these plugs and get this finished up. Hopefully my back will start cooperating if this ibuprofen kicks in and I can get a little bit more done. All right, well, unfortunately I had to reshoot this ending part here. I am all done. The back plug would be number 8. It's the one closest to the firewall. I don't know if I can get you in there to take a look, but if you look down in there, there is no room whatsoever. I had to use my swivel on just the ratchet because I don't have the short stubby extension to get to that. Getting the boot off, getting that plug out. Oh my gosh, that was, yeah. I'm a little scratched up, little buddy. It's all right, skin grows back. My last proctology exam, I think, was a little bit more fun than doing that spark plug. I can see why guys typically skip doing that one. Oh, it's a pain in the butt. And this isn't even a front wheel drive, this is a rear wheel drive, which is usually much easier to get to these. I've heard bad stories about Dodges and no room between the firewall there. So I'm glad it wasn't that difficult. But once again, got it done. I don't like to half donkey things, so I want to make sure it's all done right. And once again, just a quick once over with y'all. Check your battery, check your cleaner element, check your antifreeze. Go over everything real good. Just take a visual look at everything. You know, look at your wiring, look at the loom, you know, is there wear marks in anything? Look at your serpentine belt. You know, is it cracked? Is it showing any kind of signs of wear? You know, how does that belt look? Is it squealing? If it's squealing, it's time to replace it. Check your power steering. Yeah. You know, just give everything a good once over, a good visual. Put your hands on stuff. Don't be afraid to touch things. Don't be afraid to look at things. It's a lot easier to do it now when it's warm than when it gets cold. You do not want to be doing this in the cold. It is no fun whatsoever. So on that note, guys, I apologize that the ending is all screwed up here. I must have leaned on my lapel mic or something and shut it off, so there was no sound to the actual last video. But there you have it. On the next one, we're going to be doing the oil change. We're going to get to the underside. Gonna do a transmission filter, transmission fluid change. Guys, you really should be doing that every 30, 50,000 miles, especially on these trucks if you're doing truck things. We're gonna do all the grease fittings, check the U-joints, check the oil in the rear end. We're gonna fire this up. Yeah, it's running real good. All 8 holes are making fire. It's running smoother than it was before. So those plugs definitely did make a difference. I think if it was 30 below, this thing probably would have coughed and sputtered and maybe started, maybe not. It's hard to say. But why take the chance? And why do it when it's cold? Yeah, my back was killing me today, but I still got it done. All right, well, that's going to do it for this one. Like I say, in the next one, we'll get on the bottom side. We'll take a real good look at everything underneath. Go over what to look at. You're going to be CV half shafts, the boots on them. Look for all the Zerk fittings, grease everything real good. And to all my subscribers, to all the ones that started in the beginning and my new ones now, I really appreciate y'all. I really hope that you're watching all the way through and getting something out of my content. When I get moved to the new shop, that's going to be fantastic. There's going to be so much good stuff coming out. Be doing work on the shop and everything else. I'll be able to get to my boats finally, start doing some work on them. So I'll be able to do stuff in the winter as long as I get some heat going in that shop right away. All right, guys, well, thanks again. Appreciate y'all very much, and have a nice day.